The practice of stealing moves can be viewed as flattery, to be honest. The move obviously looks cool or is over enough to warrant stealing/adopting in the first instance. But then again, watching somebody nick and bastardize a maneuver they hold dear can often rub a wrestler up the wrong way and lead to a little bit of tension between bumpers. I'm Gareth from What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 wrestlers who got pissed when their moves were stolen. Number 10, Steve Austin's Stunner. Back in 2015, John Cena fully reinvented himself after learning a new way of working from CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. It was a decision that launched a Twilight Years peak so good that it reframed the legacy of his entire career. Cena embraced the pacing and moves of the indie boom and gave so much more to his opponents. Those matches from the US title Open Challenge were exhilarating, productive, and inspired. By just about executing the modern banger, Cena removed the boring tag that will forever plague the likes of Triple H and Randy Orton. It ain't no mystery, folks. However, though Cena kept up with the likes of Kevin Owens in hot matches, he was still the same somewhat clumsy Cena at his core. His springboard stunner illustrated this. An overambitious move he botched enough times to swiftly drop. It drew the ire of originator Steve Austin. Speaking on his podcast, Austin claimed he was disappointed that Cena used it arbitrarily for a cheap pop kickout. If you want to see how it's done right, see Modern KO's take on the move for the proper execution of a badass stunner. Number 9, Kenny Omega's V-Trigger. Kenny Omega's V-Trigger is one of the greatest moves of the 21st century in both vision and execution. Mirroring the pulsating action of a fighter game, Omega spams it to put over the idea that he has entered a new mode. It's the comeback or the heat as a power-up, a new and more thrilling way of doing something tried and true. The execution remains mind-blowing. For all his detractors, nobody is better at the sleight of hand at wrestling's core than the cleaner. It is the existence of those detractors that excuses Omega's "I'm fine, no, really, I'm fine" reaction to Seth Rollins adopting the move. After Rollins used the move on Raw in 2017, Omega tweeted, "Well, at least I still have my entrance music," in response to Seth losing the bit of his old theme that people liked. Omega did walk it back to a degree, and continues to put Rollins over as a dream opponent, but he was still quite clearly fuming. Number 8, TBar's Feast Your Eyes. The most recent spot of doom scroll respite to escape into for an hour or so in these trying times, TBar of Retribution buried AEW's Sammy Guevara for using his Feast Your Eyes finish. The man who currently plagiarizes Tom Hardy's portrayal of Bane had the following complaint over plagiarism, tweeting, "Some little teenage virgin on AEW stole my finisher like 4 years ago, after we did a show together. I'd steal something from his moveset, but it's all just Ricochet's moves." Damn. Feast Your Eyes is itself a modified take on Kenta's much imitated Go to Sleep, delivered from a torture rack setup as opposed to the traditional fireman's carry. So it's not as if T-Bar quite conceived of such a grand innovation. In fact, he didn't conceive of it at all. As Guevara pointed out, T-Bar lifted it from Matt Demarest. Demarest himself weighed in by confirming that he saw Kenta do the Go to Sleep, thought it looked as awesome as everybody else did, and tweaked it slightly. Number 7, Tazz's Taz Mission. In 2019, T-Bar, then wrestling as Dominik Dijakovic, publicly requested permission from Taz to use his Taz Mission finish. The phrasing of the request was a bit bizarre though. He wrote it in kayfabe and it reads as follows: "Do you mind if I start using your Taz Mission hold on WWE programming and events to defeat my opponents? I have found it to be a very effective maneuver. Thank you." Very well-mannered, it was ironically impolite. Either T-Bar is just a bit odd, or he was being a bit of a knob. He seemed to do the right thing on the wrong platform, albeit insincerely. In any event, Taz wasn't too pleased at being drawn on the matter publicly and asked Dijakovic to take it to the DMs. That was that. Taz quickly revealed that he had given Dijakovic his blessing to use the move, but it's not clear if he actually did, as we're yet to see him use it. Number 6. Mustafa Ali's Lumbar Kick. As the man himself said, Mr. 450 really had to piss Mustafa Ali off big time for him to launch into such a furious extended tirade. There's a backstory here though, and it appears to date back even further. Mustafa Ali and the man he infamously worked on 205 Live were apparently close on the Chicago indie circuits on which they came up. Something obviously changed though. Ali raged against the man who last worked under the name Mecha Wolf for stealing a move of his. It wasn't made explicit, but one one can infer what it was from the snarky description of lying lumbar kick. What's strange here is a weird conflation made by the otherwise sound and nice Retribution leader. He alluded to awful behavior of which Mechawolf was accused, but seemed to care just as much about some move he retired years and years ago before hitting the big time. All in all, this was a rare case of a nice bloke lowering himself to someone else's level. Number 5, Sami Zayn's Blue Thunderbomb. So what's the actual rule/etiquette on move theft or inspiration? Is anything fair game until it happens under the same umbrella? It makes sense if that is indeed the crack. There's no direct toe-stepping, nobody is trying to outshine anybody else in the same company, it's basically all a big race to see who watches a great Japanese match first. Which makes Sami Zayn's conniption fit somewhat understandable. Zayn as El Generico was terrifically inventive. The Brainbuster was so good that he should jump to AEW just to perform it on national TV. But he did not invent the Blue Thunderbomb, he adopted it. He had a go at HC Dyer for busting out the move in the inaugural United Kingdom Championship tournament. Why imitate when you can create? The man who imitated Jun Akiyama's move tweeted. Tyson Kidd replied to point that out too, and that was that pretty much. Number 4, John Cena's Burning Hammer, aka John Cena's AA. Cena never added Kenta Kobashi's Burning Hammer to his in-ring arsenal. He used something very different for his finish, the FU/attitude adjustment. A humble fireman's carry ostensibly, executed with his legs jutted out rather awkwardly, he used it as an in-character response to Brock Lesnar's F5. It's weird that it became his signature finish long after that short feud ended, but maybe not. It looked feeble and not remotely aesthetically pleasing, but it was over. There's no disputing that. Tyler Rex did use the Burning Hammer though, at least by name. Before somebody took a blind bit of notice of a WWE C-show, Rex modified it to align with WWE's in-house standard. The setup was identical, but he didn't or couldn't take the same risk as the Master did. The Impact saw his opponents take a far safer bump, more reminiscent of a facebuster. That somebody taking a blind bit of notice though was John Cena, whom Rex alleged pulled him to one side at a house show and instructed him never to use it again lest he be fired. The response was fairly ironic, even hypocritical given the origins of the AA itself. Still, a bit close was considered too close and Cena had the sway. Number 3, Manami Toyota's Ocean Cyclone Suplex. One of the greatest moves ever invented. Manami Toyota's Ocean Cyclone Suplex had mostly been left well alone, unlike so many beautiful looking Japanese finishers. That's likely not a matter of choice though. In addition to the clear risk factor, it looks nigh on impossible to pull off in such a way that wouldn't look like a poor imitation. A disgustingly angled suplex executed from the electric chair position, Toyota's unreal flexibility absolutely makes it. The arc is as stunning as the impact is deadly. Bea Priestley did try her hand at it though. The results weren't great and did look like a poor imitation. Not that there's much shame in that, nor were they popular as Toyota expressly permitted Tsukasa Fujimoto and Ikuto Hidaka to use the move, and in no certain terms told Bea not to use it. Broadly, this opens up a rather tedious loop of debate. Ultimately, you prefer to see the move again than not, provided it's executed well. But since it wasn't, well, maybe it's best to wait for permission before using it. Number 2, TJPs Everything? In a desperate ratings grab, on February 18, 2019, Ricochet debuted on the main roster alongside 3 of his fellow beleaguered NXT pals, who were flown to Lafayette, Louisiana after a swift USA Network bollocking. The Lafayette crowd was subsequently told off for not reacting to this total lack of promotion, but Ricochet did fire them up with an exhibition of his next level talent. TJP reckons he provided the lighter though. "Oh cool, I think I wrote this," he quote tweeted, captioning Ricochet's performing a springboard missile dropkick on WWE's official Twitter. He was asked to elaborate and said that he literally meant exactly that. Had TJP joined the creative team as an unpaid intern? Did he pitch this exact sequence and see Ricochet do it to his dismay? What the hell was he talking about? He then tweeted, "I thought someone else turning my homework in with their name on it ended after high school," before absolving Ricochet, the man he blamed, of the blame. Curiously, TJP was released not 3 days later. Still though, baffling. Number 1. Tessa Blanchards Everything. It isn't stealing if you plagiarize correctly. That's called being resourceful, right? And a female wrestler borrowing from a blackballed peer is good plagiarism because A. Said blackballed peer isn't likely to get signed for a major promotion and kick up a fuss owing to her toxic reputation. And B. Said blackballed peer is an amazing talent, so using her stuff is a great idea with which to get over. With that in mind, Tessa Blanchard is so good that every major promotion has almost certainly asked the question, does it matter how much of a crap disturber she is? Only to ruefully settle at the answer, god damn it, yes it does. Speaking on the Nothing Beats Experience podcast last year, Blanchard, seething without saying it, buried unnamed WWE Raw talent for doing her moves on Monday nights, which is hardly going to endear her to that locker room going forward. Tessa is bloody good, but let's be honest, Lana isn't exactly doing the Magnum, is she? So this was just a little bit odd. And that's our list. Know of any other wrestlers who got pissed when their moves were stolen? Let us know all about them in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and click on that subscribe button. Also, be sure to head on over to whatculture.com and find some more incredible articles just like the one this video is based on. I've been Gareth from What Culture Wrestling. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm sure I'll see you very, very soon.